Hi everyone, my name is Kyle and I'll be presenting today's tips and tricks video for the Pelican software. We'll be covering errors that you might come across while using the website, secondary sources that we use on a day-to-day basis, as well as our mobile site and how it differs from our website. First, we'll talk about ticket history. In your ticket history, you're able to search for your existing requests through various options. There's the ticket number, user reference you may have put on the ticket, a specific date range you might be looking for, the town or city that those locates are within, or the ticket type itself. Here we can see all tickets from a specific date range. We can also search for a specific ticket number if we have one available. Alternatively, we could also search for a user reference if you've entered one on your ticket. This shows all tickets that the user reference AB was placed on, to allow you to quickly find tickets that you need grouped or for specific projects. Additionally, these search types can be combined. We can combine our user reference and town or city to find all tickets within Calgary with that specific user reference. The other option available to you in ticket history is search to promote ticket. This is how you can change an existing planning and design ticket to a regular project or large project ticket. Here we'll see me grab one of the planning and design tickets I already have, we'll search for it, and then we can click the promote button. This allows us to make any changes we need from the original planning and design request to an excavation request. The first thing we'll need to do is correct our ticket type if you will be excavating. Planning and design tickets cannot be dug on, they're strictly for informational purposes, so this is how you can submit a ticket that you'll be excavating on. Now we'll take some time to talk about errors that you can get while searching for your dig site location or unique experiences you might encounter. So for this one, I'm just going to quickly enter some information for a location in Manitoba. The details I'm entering don't matter because this is just strictly for an example. So first we'll search for a legal land description, and legal land descriptions do have a particular format that's required. They need to be entered as the LLD or quarter section and not the LSD. We can't search by LSDs. Additionally, each set of characters needs to have 2 digits and dashes between each set. If we're missing any of those dashes or we don't have 2 characters, our search won't go through. Real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and delete one of these dashes and one of these zeros and show you the error message that you'll get. Now that we've searched for our legal land description, let's take a second to look at size limits that can be included on your ticket. Rural tickets have a larger area that can be included on a single request, and this area, as it stands, looks to be rural. If we look under Step 2, Draw Your Dig Site, you can see the size limit you're dealing with and if the map thinks it's in an urban or rural area. This location currently states that we are in an urban area, which means we will be dealing with the smaller ticket size limit. To verify if you're inside of a city or town, you can open up the map layers and enable the city or town boundaries overlay, which will shade anything that's inside of a city or town or urban area blue. If we zoom out further, we'll be able to see the full boundaries of this urban area. This particular example is because the Peguis Band has registered themselves as a municipality, and if we zoom out further, we can see the other municipal or urban areas that exist in this portion of Manitoba. Continuing with city and town boundaries, let's do a GPS search for an area on the edge of Calgary. I'm going to go ahead and search for an intersection. And if we turn on our city-town boundaries layer again after zooming out, we'll be able to see where Calgary city limits ends. Now, if you're working in an area like this, depending on where your work area falls, you may be dealing with both the urban ticket size and the rural ticket size, depending on that work area. Now you have 2 options when you are doing a ticket in this type of area. You can either process a single request crossing into both the city and town and into the rural area. However, keep in mind that you'll be stuck using the urban ticket size limit or the smaller size limit. Alternatively, you may choose to process 2 separate tickets, one inside city and town boundaries and one outside of city and town boundaries to give yourself more options with your ticket size limits. While we're on the topic of boundaries, let's take a second to talk about provincial borders, as our system does handle multiple provinces. Lloydminster in Alberta is actually partly in Alberta and partly in Saskatchewan, and if we zoom in on the middle of the town, we'll be able to see that provincial border. Now, When you're working on the edge of a city or town, you can process one single ticket crossing into both. However, if you're working on either side of the provincial border, you'll need a new ticket for each location, one for the Alberta side and one for the Saskatchewan side. If you submit a ticket that crosses over into both, the members may contact you and ask you to resubmit your tickets, again, one for the Alberta side and one for the Saskatchewan side. The same process also applies on the Manitoba and Saskatchewan borders, but we don't have a town like Lloydminster as an example for those provincial borders. The next unique situation we'll talk about is intersection searches in rural areas. If we're searching for two major intersecting highways, generally the system will be able to find them because those roadways exist on Google Maps. We'll search Highway 37 and Highway 44 in Alberta, and the map will bring us to that intersection, and we can then map out our work area. Now, if you're trying to search for unnamed roads or township or range roads, the system might not be able to find them because they don't exist on Google Maps yet. I'll show you an example of when we search for a highway and a township road that intersect, but the system is only able to find one or both of the roads, but not necessarily where they intersect. If we search Highway 41 and Township Road 80 in Alberta, the system will find Alberta Highway 41 and Township Road 80, but not necessarily where they intersect. If we click on these roads, it'll bring us to that roadway itself, not necessarily the intersection. So we can see that this brought us to Alberta Highway 41, but not necessarily Alberta Highway 41 and Township Road 80. We talked about the legal land description error people will come across when they search their legals wrong. Let's take a second to talk about GPS coordinates. Our system asks for your GPS coordinates in longitude and then latitude. If you enter your latitude and then your longitude and click search, the map will show you a gray box that says, sorry, we have no imagery here. And if you zoom out, this will just be a big blue square. And that's because we've searched our GPS coordinates in reverse and we're in the middle of the ocean. If we swap our GPS coordinates around and put our latitude in the latitude field and longitude in the longitude field and zoom out, we'll be brought back to that same intersection in Calgary we searched a little bit earlier. Now there's also another situation where you may receive a no imagery here to display message, and that's if you're searching for a location in northern Alberta, Manitoba, or Saskatchewan where there's not high definition imagery available. So I'm going to search for the northwest of 32, 71, 10 west of 4, and we get that same message. Sorry, no imagery here. But if we zoom out, we'll be able to see the area. The satellite imagery will load once it's a resolution that's visible. And if we need to, we can turn on our legal land description grid overlay so that we can see the boundaries of that legal land description and map out our work area accordingly. Now that we've talked about some of the situations you can come across on the map, let's talk about secondary sources. These sources that I'm about to show we use regularly to find locations that might not exist on our map yet. The first is called Spin2, also known as the Alberta Registry's website. This is a free service and you can access the guest login found towards the bottom right to get started. Once you've clicked the guest login, you'll need to agree to their terms and services, and then you can begin your search. We use this service to find lot block and plans, and to do so, we'll click the search button in the top left and then click titles and registered documents. There are a number of searches we can do here, but we're going to use the plan block or unit lot to search for a lot block and plan. Here you'll enter your plan number, then the block number, and then the lot number, and this will bring you to the title for this property. Now this doesn't show us a lot, but underneath the view header, there is an earth that if we click this, we'll be able to see this property on the Alberta Registry's website. So now we can see where that lot is located, the outline of it, and the other lots that surround it, as well as have some streets labeled to help find this location. We can also get some GPS coordinates down in the bottom right-hand corner, or alternatively, we can use the measurement tool available to measure out the distance from that intersection to find the property. Now, if we go to the town that this address falls within, or this lot block and plan falls within, which is standard Alberta, we can then zoom in on the area that this lot exists and map it out accordingly. So we can see this area matches with the map that was previously there, If we measure out the same distance, we'll be able to find that lot boundary, and then we can map our lot block and plan out without having an address. Now my map disappeared because I have the wrong ticket type selected, but we can still see where that lot would fall and complete our polygon in the general sense. So I've mentioned that my map fails. Let's see how we can change that. If we click back on our ticket details tab, we can then change our ticket type, re-enter the information that we need to, so our type of work and start date, search for our dig site location again, and now we should be able to map out the area and our polygon won't disappear because we are using a regular ticket for a small work area under 1,000 meters squared instead of the large project that we were before. We use Spin2 in Alberta, but in other provinces we have other resources available. In Saskatchewan, we use the ISC website, and we have an account created, so I'm going to just enter my information and sign in. However, this is a free service, so once you've created an account, you'll also be able to use it. Once you've logged in, click Map Search, and you'll be presented with your search options on the bottom left-hand side. Now, something that exists in Saskatchewan that doesn't exist in Alberta is river lots, so we'll do a quick example of that. You'll need to enter your river lot number, the township, range, and meridian that river lot falls within, and then click search. The system will find that river lot for you, and you can get GPS coordinates down in the bottom right hand corner, or use one of the legal land descriptions that are presented on the map to then search for this river lot in our system. I'll go ahead and search the adjacent legal land description now, since a legal land description doesn't exist for the river lot itself. It's a different search. So once we've searched that, we'll zoom out and we'll be able to see where that river lot was. While the satellite imagery doesn't quite match the paper map from the ISC website, we can help determine where exactly that river lot is by turning on the river lot overlay. And then we can now see that river lot 1 is right here, and we will map it out accordingly. There's one other type of secondary source that we'll talk about today, and that's interactive maps. Interactive maps exist for most cities or towns across the prairies, and we'll be using the City of Calgary My Property interactive map for this example. Now, I'm going to go ahead and search for a new build that doesn't exist on our map yet, and I'll show you how we can find that property and get it mapped out even though the satellite imagery doesn't necessarily show it. We're currently looking at 233 Magnolia Heights Southeast, and that's represented by the blue box on that map. If we go over to our website and we search for that same address, our system is just going to be able to find the roadway, not necessarily the property, because the property doesn't exist yet. So we could see on the previous map that the house was on the corner of the intersection, but here we're in the middle of Magnolia Heights Southeast instead. So this is where we'd need to use some extra steps, either through measurements or GPS coordinates, to scroll the map or move it to bring us to that exact location, and then map out the corresponding lot. For us, this is an easier example because it's on the corner of the intersection, so we don't need to really measure a distance and direction from that location since we're working right here, and we'll complete our polygon and then we're done. Next, let's talk about our mobile site and the differences that exist. The intention of our mobile site is for it to function exactly the same as our online site. However, there are some key differences. The first is when you are logging into your account. When you go to the login page, sometimes your username and password fields will overlap. This issue can be resolved by tapping anywhere on the screen or even clicking on one of the fields. Your phone will format the fields and you will be able to enter your login details and begin submitting your request. The next difference with the mobile site is the positive response option. This option is currently not available, so you would either need to reach out to our support team by email, contact us by phone, or alternatively use a computer to submit your reminders for any outstanding locate requests. Moving through the website on your phone, you'll need to use the buttons that are available on the submission form, either the new ticket button, the home button, or the ticket details tab if you've already gotten to the search for your dig site location field. So if we click on our ticket details tab, we'll be brought back, and that's great. If we click the back button in our browser, we'll actually be logged out of our account because the website isn't changing pages. This is the same on your mobile device. If you use the back button next to your home button, you will be logged out. You'll want to make sure you're using the continue buttons, home button, log out button, or moving to the ticket details to ensure you aren't logged out or backed out of the page. Now, another feature that's not currently available on the mobile site is our LLD search. Once you've gotten to step 1, search for your dig site, the LLD option will not be available. Now, that doesn't mean that the mobile site strictly is missing features. There's an additional feature available to you on your mobile device, and that is a GPS search, which is different than XY. This will use your phone's location data to pull your exact GPS coordinates. So if you're currently at the dig site, you'll be able to find your location that way instead. Now, there are some other features currently unavailable on the mobile site, and those are related to ticket options. Those 3 being ticket cancellation, ticket relocate, and ticket edit. If you need to make a change to an existing ticket but only have a mobile device, we would ask that you reach out to our support team by email, and we'd be happy to make those changes for you. Same with any relocates or cancellations that are needed. Alternatively, you can also access these features from your desktop. Thank you for participating in our tips and tricks videos. Dig safe.